IVM.
If you enjoy listening to IVM Likes, you should also check out our other show called Seen and the Unseen, a show hosted by Amit Verma where he discusses topics related to economics, politics, and its impact on our society. New episodes every Monday on the IVM Podcasts app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome to another episode of IVM Likes.
Yay!
Yeah, I keep waiting for you
Are
guys
you
to say
welcoming us or are you welcoming the listeners?
all of you.
Oh, okay.
What's up?
Lots of us.
Yeah, we have 5 of us. This is episode 101, and in the studio with me, there's Jaanam,
Hi.
Allika,
Oh, hello.
Abbas,
Hi.
and Amit.
Hello.
What's up, guys? Are you excited? This is
Yes.
episode 101, as I mentioned.
101st episode.
Yeah.
Yes, very excited.
A quick, since it's episode 101, quickly, this is what we do on IVM Likes. The first round is where we recommend stuff we've been watching or listening to, or just generally pop culture stuff. And the second round, we discuss a topic. So, for today, the topic is TV shows that aren't worth finishing. That's
You
the
should
second round.
clarify that a little bit more, right?
Okay.
Do you mean that the TV shows just are, they get tired, or that the ends suck, or what do you mean by that?
Generally, just, yeah, you feel like they aren't worth your time anymore. Like, there's so much
Stuff
better
that
out
started
there.
off well but then
Yeah.
tapered
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or, okay, all right, that's a good way
Yeah.
to look at it. Okay, cool.
First round, recommendation. Who wants to go first? Jaanam.
I am recommending a TV show called Sick Note. So I just stumbled upon this on Netflix. And
Is it a Netflix original?
It is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it features Rupert Grint as the protagonist, and it has Nick Frost. Both are amazing in it's a comedy, black comedy, and yeah, like this.
What's the
Wait,
premise?
so the premise of the actually there's kind of, if you read the description of the show, there's a spoiler in there, so this is not really a spoiler.
okay.
This Rupert Grint is this employee at this workplace, and he gets misdiagnosed with cancer.
Okay.
And it's super funny, like how he this guy, his doctor is Nick Frost, who plays the character of Dr. Ian Glennis. And he's the super goofy doctor who doesn't know anything and like is really like messing up the diagnosis clearly and a lot of other things. And yeah, he tells Rupert Grint, you know what, okay, you have cancer. And this guy's obviously world comes crumbling down.
Oh my god!
And he's like, what
then
do
they
I
make
do
a
now?
potion. Is there magic involved?
No, but there is a great Harry Potter reference.
Oh, no, yes.
in
This is Ron's post-divorce life. Got a job.
yeah, pretty much. But yeah, I won't give out what the reference is. Check it out to.
It's a series.
It's a series.
Oh, okay.
It has 2 seasons out till now. I have like finished the
Damn.
second season. And the best part is like I got hooked onto this show, man. It's so hilarious and like. Just the whole plot, it's unpredictable. You don't know what's happening. Everything is, people are like lying to each other and hiding things and like murder after
So,
murder.
like, real life
Like,
then.
Oh, okay.
yeah, there's murder.
Relatable.
Also. Yeah, yeah, it's fun.
Nice. It's on Netflix.
It's on Netflix. Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Jaanam. Moving on to Abbas. What are you?
Alright, I'm also recommending a Netflix original.
Wow.
But it's a film. It's a film called Cam, C-A-M.
Ooh.
So it's a psychological thriller about a girl who's a cam girl on the internet.
I think I've seen the trailer for this one. Yeah.
They have these girls who, for some money, they do cam shows for the clients on the internet. And the interesting thing about it is that the writer of the film used to be a real cam girl.
Okay.
So she's drawn on her inspirations to write this film. What happens in the film is in the first about 15 minutes, we get a glimpse of how they live their life, how dark the internet can get. So it starts off with like the sexual stuff where the comments are asking her to take her clothes off and stuff, and then it gets really dark where they start asking her to use a knife and do this like really twisted stuff, and how it's like a part of the life of these scam girls. So the first 15 minutes is that, and then one fine day she wakes up and she tries to log into her account, but she finds she's already logged in and she's already doing a show live when she's actually not.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah,
Right,
yeah,
yeah.
This is all just the trailer. It's funny.
How does that work? Wait.
Exactly. So the rest of the movie is her going down this rabbit hole and finding out exactly it's also makes a larger comment about how we are all living our lives online and how we are all so dependent on artificial intelligence.
Right.
But it's done very nicely. It's very crisp. I think the movie's around 80 minutes long. It's very fast paced. It keeps you on the edge of your seat. And it's very beautifully shot. So if you've seen Nicholas Winding Refn, who's the guy who made Drive and Only God Forgives,
right.
like he uses neon lights and colors very well. So this film kind of draws inspiration on that and uses that color palette to tell the story. It's a dark film, but it's a very interesting film. I think you should check it out. Yeah.
Also, have you guys seen Handmaid's Tale?
I haven't.
Because the main lead of this movie is played by Madeline, who was another character in the Handmaid's Tale. And she also does a great job doing like dark characters.
Yeah.
Because in Handmaid's Tale also she's been through a lot and she's always, again, a great show if you haven't seen it.
I have not seen it.
Yeah.
Double
so
recommendation.
Double recommendation. It has a term, we call it recommendation.
Recommendation. Okay, that's the thing.
That's
Awesome.
the thing. Hashtag recommendation.
yeah. So Cam, check it out. It came out this year. Pretty interesting movie. Yeah.
Cool.
Amit, what's up?
So I am going to recommend a TV show called Lucifer. It's available on Netflix. It's not a Netflix original, but it's available on Netflix. It is so I think I have spoken about this before, but I'm a fan of the genre Pretty People Solving Crime.
Yeah, you've said this before. What's the acronym for this? PP?
I have never
Pretty People.
brought that
People
up.
solving PPSC.
PPSC.
I have never really worked that out, but I guess that's what it is, right?
PPSC.
So this is that, but then but then you get to add in a little bit of my other predilection in fiction, which is fantasy and mythology and that kind of stuff. So you get a combination of both of these things. The basic premise is that Lucifer, the devil, he is basically bored of hell, and he decides, F it, I'm going to go
my
to Los
God.
Angeles.
Oh my
and I'm going to
God.
live in Los Angeles.
It's the same thing, right?
That's actually pretty much what his point is. That, I mean, like, I might as well have some fun while I'm there. It's just as much of a hellhole as hell, so I might as well be. But so he becomes a consultant to the police department, which I wonder how the hell that
This
keeps
is very
happening.
similar to Angel, the Buffy spin-off.
It is, well, Angel
Like the
is...
premise, yeah.
So premise-wise, maybe a little bit, but Angel is set in a private detective organization, rather. But yeah, somewhat similar-ish in that kind of sense, right? But yeah, so that's just the basic kind of this. And it's about, I mean, like, they come across different crimes, and there's mythology involved in it in the sense that Lucifer is, the fallen angel, and he has his issues, and so there's a whole bunch of different things like that come into play with it. And it's a well-made show. It's a funny show. Very, very interesting cast. The second season of it gets really interesting when his mother shows up all of a sudden. So his mother is the ex-wife of God.
What?
It all makes sense
It
now.
all
makes
makes a
sense now.
ton of sense.
You know the thing about exes.
You never do. So it's a really, it's a lot of fun.
Who's playing this character?
I think it's Tom Hiddleston.
He's playing Lucifer?
Yeah, I think
I
so.
have to watch it.
I
There's
think
no
so.
way I can't watch
No, who's
it.
playing the mother, the ex-wife?
Tricia Helfer, the woman from Battlestar Galactica. Tricia Helfer. Oh my God, it's so funny. So she, when she first gets introduced into so Tricia I can't remember the exact last name, but so she's like this ridiculously gorgeous woman, like ridiculously gorgeous woman. So when she first introduces herself to Lucifer, she's like, I'm your mother. I am in this stinky meat sack, but at least it's in a really, at least the body's in really good shape.
Trisha Helfer is
Helfer,
the...
Tricia Helfer. That's
But this is the same Lucifer from the Neil Gaiman Sandman book?
it is. It's based on that.
yeah.
It's based on that. It's
Tom
based on
Ellis.
that. Yeah. It's lightly. So it's like derives from that. Lightly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the crimes that he's solving, so he uses his supernatural powers to solve
So
them?
his thing is that since he is a fallen angel, his supernatural powers are limited. He doesn't have the full powers that his brothers have.
Right.
But at the same time, he does have some. So he is the man in control of desires.
Oh, okay.
So he can basically look at anybody and ask them, what do you really desire? And he'll get a true answer from them. Like, what do I really want in life? And that leads into like some fun things as well, right? Because I mean, like, he'll be talking to a suspect and that guy looks like this big, badass kind of guy. And he's like, what do you truly desire? I just want to sit on the beach and write my book.
Oh.
So you lead to some funny, you get some funny
Wait, there's Vivek Oberoi in this movie? In this series?
Really?
What?
Yeah.
I'm on his IMDb and there's Vivek Oberoi.
That is so
he
random.
hasn't shown up yet.
Oh, wow. You're in for... Oh, there are a bunch of
Are you
Indian
on the right,
characters.
Lucifer?
Yeah, I said Lucifer 2019. Or maybe this is a different thing altogether.
It's still
Maybe
going.
shifted
Maybe.
from Los Angeles to Mumbai.
Okay, this is
Interesting.
a different thing, guys.
Okay, all right.
No Vivek Oberoi in this.
yeah.
Still recommended.
This is on Netflix?
This is on Netflix, yes.
Okay, cool. Moving on to me. Guys, I have an app to recommend.
Okay.
I've been watching things, but I'm still catching up on old shows, so I have nothing new
Right.
to recommend. But there's a school app that you should all download immediately. It's called
school
the...
app.
It's a photo app.
Okay.
Basically, it's called the UG app. HUJI. It's like Fujifilm,
Fuji.
but Fuji.
Okay.
Yeah, but they have
I
no
wonder what it
association.
does.
I wonder who introduced you to
I'm
it.
sorry, I know this app since
Can I guess
since
what
the
it
beginning
does?
of time.
It
Yeah.
makes the photos look like film
Yeah,
grain?
it makes it look like it's 1998.
Okay.
But it's so fun. So also another cool thing about this app is, so it actually functions like a disposable
Okay.
camera.
Oh.
So you don't see what photo there's an option, but it's fun to not see what photo you, like how the photo will turn out. You have no idea how it will turn out.
Okay.
And then when you go to the lab, you see like it'll be a random lens flare here, like on one of the parts, and there'll be some graininess, and it just makes it look
Okay.
super vintage and like it's 1998.
But you
Like
can't
it's
see a
20.
preview of what
You
the
can't.
thing
It's
is.
like you have how normal disposable cameras have like
Right.
a lens thingy where you look through.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so exactly like that, and it takes time to develop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
This app.
The technology that we made to do things quicker is now
Yeah,
giving...
exactly. So nostalgia is in
Yeah.
some ways...
Nostalgia.
I mean, like, it's like the... what was that... somebody was... I remember seeing this on Product Hunt or somewhere like that. Rotary dial cell phone.
Oh.
yeah.
As in basically it's like it's meant to be for the house or whatever,
Yeah,
but with
of
a SIM
course.
card in it, but a rotary dial cell phone.
Yeah.
God.
It's
It's the
all
same kind of thing,
nostalgia.
right?
That's true.
Yeah, completely pointless, completely nonsensical, but hey, nostalgic feeling.
Yeah,
That's
that's
true.
true.
Which is why I feel like Polaroid cameras came along. Remember, there's this new thing called Instax,
Yeah.
which people. It takes so much time, and the film is so expensive, but people still buy it because it's like it
Right.
looks
Gives you that,
nostalgic.
idea.
But this app has 16 million downloads worldwide, and it's like it's really picking up. I think
Okay.
Selena Gomez downloads, and like all of her entire Instagram feed is just this app, the
okay.
Fuji app.
Yeah, a lot of celebrities are using it actually. And
Jaanam also.
I would actually like to say that if you have a really shitty camera like mine, this app does wonders because you can't tell.
You can't tell.
Yeah, you can't tell your camera's actually shitty
Yeah.
because of the whole effect.
Because of the whole effect.
Yeah.
That is true. Would recommend this app for this reason.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Guys, it's Fuji app. It's available on Android and iOS. Check it out. And let's take a quick break. And after the break, we'll discuss all the TV shows that we didn't think they were worth finishing. And
It's like all the boys I've loved before. all the
TV shows I've quit before. See you on the other side.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another great week on IVM Podcast. If you're not following us on social media, please make sure that you do. We're IVM Podcast on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Like I mentioned last week, on Instagram, we have a bunch of interesting content coming up. Make sure that you check it out. You'll really enjoy that stuff. This week on Cyrus Says, Cyrus talks to Satyajit and Racheta of the Open Library Project. The three of them discuss books they admire, Cyrus's love of history, and their new podcast, Paperback. Speaking of Paperback, on the third episode, they're joined by Swati Loda and her daughter Swara. They discuss a fun book they've co-authored titled 54 Reasons Why Parents Suck. On Simplified, join Chuck, Naren, and Shriketh as they do a year-end special and try to make sense of the year that was 2018. This week on The Habit Coach, Ashton simplifies the process of meditation and explains the practice of introspection. Last week on the Pragati podcast, Pawan had a discussion on ISIS and terrorism in the age of social media with foreign policy scholar Kabir Taneja. Last week, we also launched a Kannada podcast, Thalle Harate, with host Pawan Srinath, Surya Prakash BS, and Ganesh Chakravarti. The show covers everything from technology, economics, geopolitics to Karnataka's governance and public affairs. Check it out on the IVM Podcast app. And with that, let's continue with your show.
Hey guys, welcome back to the second round of IVM Likes. And on this round, we're discussing to all the TV shows I've quit before. Basically, all the TV shows we didn't have the time to finish because we just like, hey, They were just not worth it. Who wants to go first? Okay, I go.
Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Cool. Just a quick example. I was watching the show called How to Get Away from Murder.
With murder.
With murder. How to Get Away with Murder. And it started off great. Season 1 is great. The plot is great. Viola Davis does a great job. Some very powerful performances. But oh my god, in the second season, I feel like everybody is just blaming each other for everything. Like, oh, it's your fault. Maybe it's their fault. It's super 12-year-old behavior.
Nobody got away?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm like, how do you keep getting involved in this? You're all adults.
Isn't this the one by Shonda Rhimes?
Yeah. So I had a similar experience. Are you going to talk about
Anatomy.
Grey's Anatomy, okay.
Yeah.
I had a similar experience with the other show that she did, Scandal.
I felt the same about Scandal. So I think the first season was only 7-8 episodes or something like that. Yeah. And then so maybe about another 8-10 episodes into the second season. I'm just like, this is dumb.
Then it becomes like a whole blame game. Like it's super predictable.
Everybody's walking into the White House without any repercussions. And I'm like, oh, that's not how it should be.
Yeah, because they know the Viola Davis, like the Annalise will save everybody because she's like the head of this whole thing. I'm like, no, kids, do your own thing. Don't murder people. That'll be great. So I quickly had to like stop that show.
I can understand that. I didn't like that show. I don't understand Shonda Rhimes. I don't understand the Shonda Rhimes like fetishization that happens to a great degree. Yeah. I feel like all three of our shows, I've attempted all three, and I'm not that tough of person to please when it comes to television shows, right? And I just haven't been able to get
none of them were pretty people solving crime.
Well, it kind of is, right?
Kind of is, yeah.
So I thought Scandal was right up my alley. But no, didn't work.
What about you, Jaanam?
I think, for me, Grey's Anatomy was that show. I got into it. It started, these shows start off well, and somewhere in the middle, they just lose their plot, and it's like the same things are happening. Like, I remember in Grey's Anatomy, it's just like, I don't know, everyone who enters that hospital just dies.
And yet it's in its 14th season.
Oh my god.
People just keep coming.
Yeah.
Why do they still go to the hospital?
Exactly.
It's like either the doctors are like, the doctors are the ones who are dying, okay? The doctors get cancer. Either they have an accident or like a drug or I don't know what. It's bizarre, man. This show is, I
and what season were you like, I can't do this anymore?
8, surprisingly. Mid of 8 season I left.
You were like, too many people have died now. I can't keep track.
Yeah, it's kind of sad also because characters that you kind of start liking and they just kill them.
Whose death most affected you? Like, this one shouldn't have died.
Spoilers.
Oh yeah, also a spoiler.
I mean, it's not really a spoiler.
If you're talking about like 8th season, then I mean like that's like 6 years ago. I think they spoiled that.
Also, do it.
Also like... I wouldn't say the spoiler because pretty much everyone dies in the show. There was this guy called what's that guy's name? I forgot.
Who played him?
I forgot.
What did he look like?
He was short. He had...
what's his character name?
O'Malley. Dr. O'Malley.
O'Malley dies? I left it on season 3.
Get a taste of your own medicine, Abbas. This is what spoilers.
This is Abbas.
I left when O'Malley's dad died. He also dies?
Yeah. I was just, do you know who else dies?
Who?
McDreamy, apparently.
Oh, he dies?
God.
I
haven't reached that part yet, but I heard this from someone.
Actually a person called McDreamy.
That's what they call him.
I've heard of it. There's a McDreamy and a McSteamy.
He's too pretty to die. But what season did he die?
I don't know. I haven't reached that season yet. It was a later season. Probably 11 or 12.
Okay.
Okay.
We should do a special montage of just us spoiling things for 2 minutes straight. Because we've just spoiled so many things.
Oh my gosh.
Allika, what do you... Yeah.
Okay, so... I used to really be into this show called Once Upon a Time, which was basically storybook characters from fairy tales who had been transported to the real world in a town called Storybrooke and lost their memories. So the first season was great. It was them trying to figure out who they were and then figure out how to go home. It was cool for like the first couple of seasons because that was the main plot. And then there were all the intrapersonal relationships between each antagonist and protagonist and stuff like that. That was great. And then you started noticing about season 3 and 4 that whatever Disney movie released that year, they started bringing in those characters. So I was like, so now Anna and Elsa from Frozen are here. Now the Wicked Witch of the West has come.
That makes sense because it was on ABC, which is owned by Disney.
Yeah, and it's also a very Disney heavy show, right? It was like Snow White and
it was,
Red Robin Hood and all that kind of stuff.
I kind of understood, but then it was just like, the plots are becoming more and more it was kind of growing like a weird mushroom.
Was this animated or were the characters played by actual people?
They were actual people.
Oh.
It was like a drama show. It was a family drama show. It was fun. It was great for 2 seasons because then you had to like figure out who was who, and then oh my gosh, this is Captain Hook come to kill so and so, whatever.
Oh.
But then it became like, and now we have the next Disney character. What is happening? I gave up about 3 seasons.
3 seasons.
It was good.
I think these are the kind of shows that should just end in like 2 or 3 seasons. They should not stretch it.
There needs to be some shows need to be defined.
Lost.
Yeah.
Lost.
Oh, Big
Lost
Bang
was
Theory.
great.
Big Bang
Bang
Theory.
Theory.
Yeah.
That
Big Bang Theory needed to have died up.
And How I Met Your Mother.
The thing about Big Bang Theory is that it never was all that special,
Yeah.
right? It was just funny. It was a funny sitcom with interesting characters. And one of the things, I think Big Bang Theory suffers a lot from its flanderization, right? That Sheldon character has become something completely unrecognizable as a human being at this point in time. So, that I think is part of why it now feels a little tiresome.
Yeah.
But, it never was see, once upon a time, there were only so many directions the story could go before it got dumb.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas Big Bang Theory is basically 5 people hanging out, making, doing sitcom-y stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
So I don't know if that is, I always thought Big Bang Theory is something that kind of works or doesn't work for people.
Yeah, because I think I got it off because I think somebody shared a script on how a script is written on Big Bang Theory, and it's just like, Sheldon, insert science stuff. Sheldon, insert more science stuff. And they just get a scientist to make up shit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they just add science stuff.
That doesn't surprise me.
Stereotypical Indian stuff.
I dropped out of Big Bang Theory very early on, but I thought it was just because it didn't work for me. I didn't really think of it as
it was
special in any way.
I have to say that also in the same vein of Once Upon a Time, I think it's the same producers / directors who worked on Once Upon a Time who worked on Lost.
Oh,
Lost.
I would disagree with that. Yeah, Lost was amazing from start to finish.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Listen,
for me it was.
So here's the thing. I did watch it from start to finish because I needed to know
what
happened.
Yes.
But if you have a slightly higher standards than I do, you should stop watching after season 3 because it makes no sense.
Where would you stop?
Lost is one of my all-time favorite shows, so I wouldn't stop. And the hook that Once Upon a Time gave was from the creators of Lost, which is why I started watching it, and it was quite disappointing.
Yeah.
But Lost, I totally get if people say it isn't worth
it.
But I don't know.
It walked into the jungle and just decided to give up.
So do you think that's the case in the 5th season as well?
In the 5th season?
The last season of Lost?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Really? Last season was the 6th season, and I think that's the weakest.
Okay.
Because have you seen the 6th season?
I know, so my Lost story is very weird, which I don't. So basically what happened is that there was a Netflix DVD style service in India that was sending people DVDs. And that's when I first started watching Lost, because that was DVD time, right? They sent me the first season, and then you had to set up a queue for stuff. So they sent me the first DVD, and then they sent me the second DVD, and then I sent those back, and then I got the 4th and 5th back instead of the 3rd. So I never got the 3rd DVD, and so then I just never kind of started watching it again, because that was a time when we didn't have, the shady places where we have now to kind of get non-legitimate content. They weren't as easy to find back then, so I kind of dropped it at that point.
I think the 6th season is the weakest, but by that time I was too into it to let it go, and I was too in love with the characters.
But Lost was like a really good roller coaster. It kind of kept you in suspense, and then it didn't
there was no drop. I agree,
like,
but I don't know. I still like that show.
Yeah.
It started getting really funky around the 4th season, because I was like, what is happening? I have lost track. I don't know who is who anymore, because there's some mistaken identity
Maybe
shit
the
happening
name
here.
after all was foreshadowing to the plot.
Yes.
Like Lost, the plot also.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen 13 Reasons Why?
No.
Oh my god, none of you have seen it.
No.
I started watching it and I couldn't sit through, after the first 3 episodes, I was like, I'm done. It's a lot of drama. First of all, because there are 13 tapes, every episode is 1 tape, and that also seems like a drag because it's an hour-long episode of just kid stuff. I mean, there's a lot of bullying for sure, but again, I feel like the whole plot of that show is suicide is the best you. Like
What?
everybody, yeah,
Okay.
it is.
Yeah,
It is. That's
I've
because
heard
the
this.
girl. I mean, this girl committed suicide, and she's like, now this is my revenge. Like this, now
Oh.
it's time for revenge. She makes the
Okay.
whole tapes. So it's glamorizes suicide, and that's the whole plot.
That's not cool.
Yeah, I think I read something about people who watch this there was like a slightly higher percentage of people committing suicide
So
after
that's
they
the
watched
problem.
this.
That's a big problem with suicide.
Yeah.
Sorry, I know this is not the show for it, but it's something I kind of am really annoyed with. Social acceptability of suicide leads to higher rates of suicide, which is one of the things that I kind of get really irritated with in our Indian culture just generally as well, where like, we have this attitude that if our problems are too much, suicide is an honorable way out. And I just think that is an unacceptable way to kind of look at things.
Yeah.
That's true.
Sorry, a little bit of a tangent.
No, but that's true. I don't think it's a good show that it's
I'd like to add, so like Allika completed a show and she's like the last 2 seasons are really bad.
Yeah.
Dexter
Oh.
falls in that category.
Oh, I just started watching it.
Season 4
is
Yeah,
amazing.
season 4.
Up to 4, it's absolutely awesome.
Oh,
Awful.
really? Is it
Up
on an
to
episode?
4.
Awesome.
After 4.
Up to 4.
Up to 4, yeah.
It's
I think I'm
absolutely
still on
awesome.
episode 2.
Okay, so watch it
quite
till
good.
after that season
watch
4.
season 4. Up to season 4. Up until the point where you get to the John Lithgow or
Yeah,
Jimmy
John
Smith?
Lithgow.
John Lithgow,
Yeah.
right? The John Lithgow season. That's amazing.
Okay, so after 4 I stop.
Yeah.
After 4, I'd stop if I were you.
Okay.
If
4
you-
ends on a cliffhanger, so you would be tempted to go to 5th,
Oh,
but don't.
But
just
don't
read
do
up
it.
on
Don't do it.
So Dexter and Scrubs was actually it was 8. It was supposed to be 8 seasons.
Right.
They did the 8th season. The last episode of the 8th season is a goodbye, and everything ends very nicely. And then at the last moment, I think ABC renewed it. So they made a makeshift season 9 with the leftover cast, and the episodes are out of order. They get a whole new cast of interns, and it's really bad. It's like shitting on 8 seasons of Legacy on season 9.
Yikes.
So just 8th season, stop for Scrubs.
I mean,
No
8
need to go.
sounds quite a lot.
It is, yes. But it's really
I've seen bits and pieces. It's the sort of thing I'd put on the TV, and if it was coming, I'd watch it. I never knew which season it was on. I just watch it.
What is a show you guys feel like you would want to go back to? Like you just stopped midway and now you feel like... Because
That's a
like
tough
I
one.
didn't watch Breaking Bad season 6. Like I've seen season 5 and I know that I know how it ended.
Okay.
See, I'm still like I haven't finished it, the whole thing. So I feel like maybe once in my
I
this
am
life,
doing
should
that
do
this year. I went back to Mad Men. I dropped out of Mad Men
Yeah.
twice, but this time round I'm actually really
How are you
getting
into it in this time and age when
Yeah.
there's so
I
many
don't
fun
know.
shows?
I don't know, because it's just more appealing to me this time round. I don't know why.
This is nostalgia.
I started watching Mad Men. These shows I'm just like watching one
Also,
episode a
an
month and
hour-long
leaving
show.
it.
But do you find Mad Men interesting? Do any of you find it
No.
interesting?
I do. I've started finding it
I
interesting
find
now.
it damn boring.
I also find it damn boring.
It's quite slow, and also
It is, yeah.
kind of
They made a big deal out of the show.
It's a
not
slow
that
burn.
great.
It's a slow burn. It takes you like 4 or 5 episodes to really get a sense of what they're trying to say. So here's what I recommend. Okay, and again, you may not do this, but if you read, there's this TV critic. I forget his name.
Seppenwall.
Not Seppenwall.
Because he's written a lot about
He's done a
Mad
lot
Men.
about it. Another one of the critics, I don't remember the name. I'll probably link it in the description. So he did a review of after every episode, and when I read the review after every episode, it just kind of made me appreciate the episode a little more and made me want to watch the next one more. Because these are the recap reviews. He's seen the whole show once, he's watching it again, and he did it for AV Club, I think. So when he Todd Vanderweef, yes.
Yeah.
So when he does the whole, without giving spoilers for what's coming, when he kind of takes it in the whole context, it kind of makes you appreciate it more.
What season
and
are you on?
I'm about to end the second season. So I watch one episode every 2 days or so, yeah.
So Todd Vanderweef has a good podcast. I think you're interesting.
Yeah, I listened to that as well.
It's a
really
good podcast.
Yeah.
So I had 2 shows, which I both of which I just abandoned like completely. Once I got to a point where I'm like, okay, you bored me 5 episodes in a row, I'm done. First was Glee.
I never got into it.
Huh?
Yeah, I never got into it.
So I enjoyed the first season like hell. I really enjoyed the first season. I'm like, okay, I can enjoy musicals. You know, I mean, like, that
Maybe
really
this
is what
is
went
me,
through
this
my
is the
head.
new me.
I have never enjoyed a musical thing in my life, right? Why are you looking at me like that?
Nothing.
Huh?
I'll speak with you later about it.
Okay, all right. But at one point, at some point it just got like every episode was so stupid and so dumb that, I mean, I think like somewhere in the early parts of season 3, I just completely dropped out of it. The other one, which I loved it for 4 seasons, and the 5th season was just utter crap, was Alias.
Oh, what was that about?
Jennifer Garner.
The J.J. Abrams show.
J.J. Abrams show. Yeah. So this was kind of spy-like show, some supernaturalish elements, not exactly, but sort of. It's like they're a private group of spies who go around doing missions all over the world, and they have unlimited budgets to do whatever they want to, and they can basically they have the power to do everything. And it's so this was Brad Cooper's first thing. Jennifer Garner was in it. Michael Vartan.
Yeah, a lot of big people.
Lot of really good, good actors. From Legends of Tomorrow, the guy who plays the half-fire guy, the older guy.
I don't remember.
He plays Jennifer Garner's father. Ron Rifkin plays Arvin Sloane, who is probably the single best television villain ever, in my opinion. So really, really great show, spy show, and then it just goes completely off the rails in the 5th season.
5th season.
5th season. First 4 seasons are incredible. 5th season is just.
If you had to go back to any of these shows, Glee or Alias, which one would you be like? Okay, fine, I'll do it. I'll just watch it. Say it. It's Glee, right? It's Glee.
It probably is Glee, because the thing with Glee is at least some of the songs will be interesting.
Allika suddenly approves for you.
Yeah, the thing with Alias is that the show turned into something which was crap.
Oh.
Right? Whereas, when you're making this kind of show, you're like kind of treading a delicate line as it is, in the sense that we're making a spy show, but we're making a spy show with like these kind of superpowered people who can do like, they'll climb up the side of a wall.
It's so convenient. So they have all the powers.
This is actually a running theme in J.J. Abrams' things, where everything starts off really well, and then towards the end he just keeps stacking on various things on people. It
turns into mythology. So the thing with what happens towards the end of Alias is that it gets all kind of like, so there is this mythical philosopher called Rambaldi or something like that, who basically figures out time travel and this and that and all that kind of stuff, and it just basically turns into a hunt for Rambaldi instead of being a show where like these guys are trying to achieve something or trying to do something. Instead of that, and what made the first parts, I think, really work is that you never really knew who was good, who was bad. And I think that was part of the big fun in the first seasons, right? Because the guys who are working over there all think they're working for the US government. They're doing good stuff. And then they find out later that, no, we're not exactly doing that. We are actually being used for this kind of private hunt around different things. And so it's kind of interesting. That stuff was all really interesting, but then it just got stupid.
Illuminati.
Another show that totally loses its plot after the first season was Prison Break.
God.
Do you watch Prison Break?
I haven't gotten into it yet.
They broke out of the prison in the first season.
And that should be the end.
That should be the end.
Speaking of prison, I remember watching Orange is the New Black, and I left that midway.
I also left it for season 1.
Yeah.
I left after season 3.
2 seasons, but I will go back to it at some point.
Orange is the New Black doesn't feel like something that I've left forever.
Yeah.
It feels like something I'll just get to at some point.
Also, it's convenient because it's on Netflix, so I feel like I see it on my my history. I'm like, fine, I'll watch you.
So some of there is that also, right? I mean, like, it's like, you need some time. You need some effort.
There was another show, but it got cancelled anyway, kind of similar to Prison Break. It was called Alcatraz.
Oh, wow.
Again, same team that made Lost. Prison on an island.
I feel like this is a theme now.
Many of the same cast members, but it ran for 1 season and then it cancelled, but I dropped out of by the 8th episode. I was like, no, this is it.
Cham, do you have a show you wish you could go back to?
Yeah, House of Cards.
Oh, wow. That's an intense show. This needs a lot of mind space.
Yeah. I watched up till the point where I think he got elected as president, and then...
That's first episode.
Yeah, that's the
first
season.
First episode. President, okay.
President.
Yeah. That's, I think, the third season.
Yeah, third season.
I think it's after the third. He is not... He becomes vice president at the end of 3.
Then I saw till that point. Yeah.
That's quite an investment.
Wow,
you should
man.
go all the way.
You should probably give it a
go
shot.
back and
now that
you've
it's
come all
ended.
this,
Yeah.
You've come this entire, you watched 3 seasons. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you.
So notice all of these shows are dramatic shows.
Yeah.
Any comedies that you've left halfway?
Community, because I feel like it was not on Netflix.
I dropped Community.
I feel like it's because there's less ease of watching it. It's on Hotstar, Amazon, on Netflix.
Right.
So I'm done trying to watch it.
Trying to figure it out, yeah. No, but did it not also get a little too much?
Yeah, I think one of the characters also left. I feel, I can't remember his name. The old character.
Chevy Chase.
Yeah, he left. So that's when I dropped out. I was
he left because of health reasons, I think.
No, he
left
had
because
a
he was an asshole.
problem. Yeah. There was some problems on set.
He left because he was a dick to everybody.
Really?
Yeah,
he was making consistent, I'm not 100% sure, so I shouldn't say this, but I think he was making consistently racist remarks on set.
Yeah. That's true. This something on set happened, which is why he left, and suddenly I was like, oh, this doesn't feel the same again. So I left. I was like, cool.
I kind of stopped watching How I Met Your Mother after the first season.
You did well.
You did well. One time.
Well, actually, if you dropped out the first season, then you missed the peak of the show, which was coming in the second season. It's not that far away.
Okay.
But the peak of the show was that slap bet episode.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll go and watch up till season 2 again, I guess.
But considering the season finale is so absurd and so such
It
a
is.
The entire
fail.
final season is bad.
Yeah, I'm like, should we even invest?
So here's the thing, right? What were we talking about? We were just talking about this, right? Shows which stretch too long. That's the problem with How I Met Your Mother, right? Because that was supposed to be. So I was reading an interview by the guys who made it, and it was supposed to be a 5-season show. Now, in a 5-season show, pulling off an ending the kind they wanted to, they could have probably gotten away with it. But because now what happens is a 9-season show, that Ted and Robin relationship is established so deeply as a friendship at that point in time. Plus there is the Barney romance which came in 6, 7, which again was kind of just this,
deflecting,
right? Yeah, exactly. So I mean, if it was a 5-season show, then they probably could have gotten away with the story that they imagined, right? But when it's a 9-season show, you know these characters so well.
Yeah, because they're always rebooting it for the next season. They forget that people are too invested in this now. You can't suddenly be like, oh, actually the mother is...
Yeah, and they kept going out of the way to specify, no, she's not the mother, she's not the mother. And then in the end, well, I guess she was.
But not we meant she is.
Speaking of shows which went on way too long, Supernatural, what the heck?
Is it
it's
still
on 13th or 14th?
It's on 14 right now.
Oh my God.
So I stopped that.
It should have stopped at 5.
See, the thing is, the reason why I didn't mention that, I thought about that. Should I have talked about Supernatural in this thing? Because up till 5, the ending of 5 was phenomenal, right? That's when the whole Angels versus Demon War happened and all of that, right? The reason why I was thinking about that is because I lasted till 10 over there.
Oh, okay. I've not lasted that long.
So if I last till 10 on a show, then at that point have I really abandoned it? I don't
ride
know.
and die now.
Huh?
You're ride and die
well,
now.
No,
for
I mean,
the
like,
show.
I've left the last 3-4 seasons.
Okay.
I don't even think I'm going to go back to them, right? But I mean, like, at the same time, I got 10 seasons into it. That means I've seen like over 200 episodes of Supernatural.
That's true.
I don't know if I could consider it something that I have abandoned, right?
I think it's gone on far too long, guys.
It has.
Those actors have been under contract for
Still
years.
Yeah,
People have been
still
born
on.
and
There are new
gone to
episodes
high
coming
school.
out. There are new episodes coming out still.
What about Modern Family? What season is Modern Family on?
Modern Family is
It's
on
like
season
8
9.
or 9,
It's
yeah.
on 9,
No,
but
I
this
think
is the final
9 or
season.
10. 8. 8 released
might be 10.
1 or 2 years back.
So then this
9.
is the final season though.
But The Office was also season 8
The Office
seasons. How
was
did
7 seasons.
8?
7.
8.
Eight
Office was
seasons.
8.
Okay.
I haven't seen it, but I know it's 8 because I just was about to start watching it and I wanted to see how many seasons there were.
So again, I think the US Office ran a little way too long.
I don't
especially
know.
after Michael Scott left.
No, man. I feel like those were also good seasons. The ones after Michael left.
But after Michael left, there were only 1 or 2.
2 seasons, but they were still not. They were not bad. They were actually funny, in different aspects.
Who replaced him?
No one.
No,
They
but so
just went with
basically
the rest of the
Andy
cast.
comes in, he becomes the manager, and the storyline.
So they did this thing where after he left for the next couple of episodes, every episode they got a celebrity to fill in as a replacement. Like Will Ferrell would show up, Ricky Gervais would show up.
It was funny though.
It was fun. Those were funny, but then after that, when he left, it just became I think it's like Simpsons without Homer. I'm like, where's the guy? Where's the
Did
funny
any of
guy?
you watch 90210?
The original?
Yeah, the original one.
With Jason Priestley and Luke Perry?
No, he's talking about the older one.
pretty sure.
Oh,
I'm
no,
pretty
no,
sure.
no,
He's talking about the
the one with-
You were not born when that show was out.
No, this is Beverly Hills 90210.
Yeah, this was Beverly Hills 90210,
Oh
but
my
it was
God.
originally released in the late 80s.
Yeah.
Oh, so not this one.
Because I remember seeing that when I was in school.
Oh, this was the first show I watched out of my... Because, I think before this I just watched Disney and suddenly 90210 came along. Oh my god, yeah. And I got super tired of it because these guys just seemed super like rich and they just party every day after college.
Yes.
So how do you keep a high school show fresh, because they're still in high school?
Yeah, you don't. It's a movie.
Yeah, you know, I mean, like, and if you want to do a high school show, then you got to have slightly rotating casts, and so, you have to be willing to like shut it down soon, man.
Which is why I loved Buffy, because they did everything from burning the school down to going to another city to getting new people in.
No, they moved to college too, right?
They moved to college too.
Yeah, so I mean, so that I think is the solution, right? The original 90210, it started off in high school and then they moved it to college. All of them went to the same college.
Nice.
In the same town, living with their parents.
Wow.
But at least they moved it to college.
At least they moved to college.
I remember finishing 90210. It ended. The ending of the new one was pretty.
You've seen the whole thing?
I think I did.
Man.
I got through it somehow, and then I got into Gossip Girl.
Oh, yes.
I couldn't finish that show. It was Gossip Girl is just, again, it's like a more kind of spicier version of what happens in 90210, but it's like more drama, more people just cheating on each other, sleeping with each other. It's like, that's literally the plot. There's nothing to it.
I can never get into these shows. Like, there's another show called Jane the Virgin, and people are like, it's a good show, but I can
that's what I've been told.
Yeah, but just
I've heard from a number of people it's a really good show.
Just the whole idea of it, because I feel like it's all about like boys and like sleeping around. I'm like, I'm not.
No, it's not that. No, it's about...
maybe I have assumptions.
Yeah, no, I think it's not. The show, from what I understand, it's about... she gets pregnant in some sort of an accident.
Yeah.
In the sense that she was getting some sort of medical procedure done, and in the course of that she got pregnant somehow.
She gets exchanged with someone who wants artificial insemination. So someone puts a baby in, medically puts a baby inside. No, it's in the trailer. This is in the trailer.
Like the first couple of
I thought, yes, I'll watch it now.
Hence Jane the Virgin. She's a virgin, but she's gonna have a baby.
And it's a family kind of...
it's a family drama.
It's a family drama.
Wow.
It borrows from the telenovelas.
It is Spanish, a remake from there, yeah. Like, so I mean, I've heard it's actually really supposed to be really nice.
Has anyone seen the second season of Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
I have not yet.
The first one either.
I'm still on the first one. I haven't finished that.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's watch that next and figure out what our feelings
You
are.
want to tell you a fun fact? So, Shruti Rajgopalan, who's on the 100th episode of Seen and the Unseen, she lives in a building which is in Marvelous Miss Maisel. Like, they took an establishing shot of a building. Because it's a really old building from the 60s.
Nice.
And,
That's so cool.
Yeah. See, she says this because she had a fracture and she had to push the door to open every time. So she went up to the authorities and why don't you change the door considering so many old people. So they're like, no, we can't touch this because apparently in America, if your structure is old, made before a certain date, you can't change anything.
Well, that's why we have the same heritage laws here, no?
Really?
Yeah, of course we have heritage. I mean, like, why do you think half a fort is still standing the way it is with these old buildings? You think that people don't want to rebuild those buildings?
I was under the impression it's there out of their hearts to keep the old vintage feel. So, but yeah, just a connection. Also this week, Seen Unseen episode 100.
Yeah, check it out, guys.
And a vague connection to Marvelous Miss Maisel.
Thanks
But that's in its second season, right?
Yeah, it's the second season.
Do you guys think now with the new Netflix and Prime originals, they would be clever to cap off shows earlier than their predecessors?
Interesting. So we're already seeing them definitely finishing shows off, right? Shows which have not gotten proper endings are starting to get their like last seasons on Netflix, Amazon, that kind of stuff. So you're definitely seeing that. I think one of the things that you find is that so what was Silicon Valley, right? So the second season of Silicon Valley, normally nobody does this, right? But the producer Mike Judge went to HBO and said that, hey, I think I have too many episodes for the story I want to tell. So can we cut this season down to 9 episodes from 10?
Oh, okay.
Right? So that I think that you're going to start seeing a certain amount of acceptance over there for that kind of thing, because the number of episodes doesn't matter so much in an OTT world as compared to a broadcasting world, right? In a broadcasting world, you have to fill a schedule. You have to fill a certain amount of time. In an OTT world, that's not the situation at all. You want to kind of get people to talk about your show as much as possible so that Abbas, who doesn't have Netflix, when me and Surbhi are talking about Netflix, is like, man, I gotta get Netflix.
Yeah, that's true.
So the incentives are slightly different.
They actually did an episode of The Simpsons about this where Homer becomes a TV critic.
Okay.
And he's just too overwhelmed to watch everything. So he gets called in by this shady organization called Google Disney who owns everything.
Okay.
So they get him in and they're like, why aren't you reviewing our shows? And Homer's like, there's just too much to see. And they're like, do you know of they name one of the networks and they're like, we're not making these shows. We just want people to subscribe in the hope that they will one day watch these shows. Have you ever heard of Private Practice? He's like, yeah. Have you ever heard of House of Lies? He's like, yeah. Why haven't you reviewed them? He's like, I didn't find time. Like, they're not shows. We just make promos and we just put them out. We're not making them.
Actually, House of Lies is a show and it's probably not the best show.
That is exactly the point. Like nobody watches these shows. They just subscribe in the hope of one day watching these shows.
It's aspirational.
It's aspirational, yes.
But Netflix is cancelling a lot of shows also. I remember getting into this show called Everything Sucks. It's about this high school, not even high school actually, middle school.
Did it just come out?
Kids in school.
It just came out, right?
It came out last year, I think. And I got into it. Season 1 was great. It ends on a cliffhanger. And I'm like, okay, when is season 2 out? I Google to see. And they cancelled the show.
Nice.
So they also cancelled all the DC's Marvel stuff, right? Yeah, Marvel stuff. So I mean, like, they're definitely...
Best for Daredevil.
Which is so...
But I think Daredevil might get cancelled
No, here's the thing.
They'll pick it up on their own streaming network.
Oh yeah, the Disney one.
They can't because the Disney streaming is going to be a PG-13 only streaming service. And the reason they made Netflix shows was they wanted to do R-rated stuff.
But then why did they cancel it?
Exactly. So far...
Netflix cancelled it. No, it's not like Disney cancelled it.
So far, Netflix was the house of shows which get cancelled elsewhere. Now they themselves are canning their shows.
No, but I think that at some level you have to make choices, no?
Sure.
I mean, you have to
That's
budget
what. So now
things.
Netflix is like just another television channel.
It is a television channel, right? And it's going to... The thing that's different is Netflix is a Netflix or an Amazon Prime or a Hotstar or any of these other content players which are providing original content. Their incentives are different in terms of what they're looking for out of a show than what a television station is looking for, which is why you're starting to see more deeper shows. You're starting to see shows which are more complexly scripted than what you would see on regular television, right? Like, you will not see... Pretty people solving crimes is not happening on Netflix, right? That is unlikely to be a genre that works over there. That is something that works in the larger kind of, or in the more broadcasty space, where you're looking at marketing more important. You're looking at marketing in certain ways. You're looking at certain things which are just different in terms of how they work.
Right.
That is true.
Awkward silence.
Yes, I know.
Oh God. So clearly we've all seen a lot of content in 2018.
Yes, we have.
This has been a great year.
Yes.
Yep.
Is this the last? Yeah, this is kind of the last episode for this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so guys, we'll see you next year now, 2019. And before you go, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and also check out our Instagram. We are at IVM Podcast. We post a bunch of cool stuff there. And you can also reach out to us personally. Abbas?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on Twitter. My handle is @AbbasMomin.
Amit?
I'm Doshi Amit on Twitter and Instagram and whatever else.
Allika?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CapeFoxAlex.
Jaanam?
You can find me on Twitter at Jaanam Devan.
You can find me on Twitter at Small Talk Police. I'm Surbhi, and see you next time.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Merry
Bye.
Christmas.
Bye.
This goes on 26th.
Happy holidays.
Yes.
Hello, everybody. We have a brand new daily podcast we're working on with Bloomberg Quint. All You Need to Know provides the top news on business, markets, and the economy so that you can stay ahead of the curve. Tune in every morning on BloombergQuint.com, the IVM Podcast app, or wherever you get your podcasts from.
Do you have a night routine? Well, everyone has one. And the to-do list usually looks like this. Brush your teeth, set that alarm, get into your pajamas, and switch off those screens. But here's one more to add to that list. Tune into the Positively Unlimited podcast for a dose of positive action and tips on how to build powerful mindsets. Episodes out every Monday on the IVM Podcast app, ivmpodcast.com, or wherever you tune into podcasts.